Daf Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, 3 lines from the top. We learned previously the brisa that said that if a person is Mishana Makam, he goes from one place to another place, from one house to another house, then he has to make a new bracha. The switching of the place requires him to make a new bracha. So Yosef Ravidi Baravin Kamed Rav Chisda, Yosef Rav Chisda, V'Kamar Shmeid Rav Huna. That we said, the brisa said that changing the place requires a new bracha. That's only from one house to a different house. But if it's only from one place to another in the same house, that does not require a new bracha. That's considered to be in the same place, and it does not require a new bracha. So the implication of this girsa that we have here is that even if it would be from one room to another room in the same house, as long as it's in the same house and not in a different house, but even from different rooms, no bracha is required. However, there's another girsa that the other Rishonim have that says Leishon only bais labais only pina lapina loy, which means from one corner of a room to a different corner of a room, then a bracha is not required. But if it would be different rooms, then a bracha would be required. So there's a difference in how the understanding and how to paskin in these cases. If it's from a different room in the same house, from one room to a different room. Amrle Ravidi Baravin Hachitani Lemasnisa the Bay Rav Hinik. This was taught in the brisa of Rav Hinik. Amrle Masnisa the Bar Hinik, the Bay Bar Hinik. Kavasev. It was according to what you said. That's what they taught in their brises. So, frankly, more if that's the case, well, if it's a brisa, ve'ela Rav Huna Masnisa kamashul, and he's coming to Rav Huna, is coming to teach us a brisa. Rav Huna Masnisa leishmil. He didn't hear it. He wasn't aware of this. So, therefore, he said it on his own. But really, it's a brisa. V'su Yosef Rav Chisda v'Kamish made the nafshe. He said in his own name, Ha the Amad Shini Malkam Sorach Levar. That we said that changing of place requires a bracha. Loy amen ela b'dvarim she'ein to a bracha la'achareim b'mekayim. That's only something that doesn't require a bracha. It doesn't require a bracha acharena to be made in the same place that you ate. But things that require that the bracha acharena be made in the place that the eating took place, ain't sorach levarech. Then you don't have to make another bracha. When you change the place, you don't have to make another bracha. My taima lekiva kamahada. Because we say that they're still connected to the original place, they're returning to the original place, so it's not considered to be a hefsek in the Suda. When do we say a shini malkam requires to another bracha? Is that when a person is eating or drinking. And now he changes his place, so the first eating is considered to be completed. Now he's going to another place. He's like eating again. It's a new achila. It's, for instance, if a person ate something in the morning, he ate something in the afternoon. It's a new ma'aseh achila. Since he left the place, that's the conclusion of the first eating. This is a new ma'aseh achila. It requires a new bracha. But if he has to go back to his original place to make the bracha achrona, then he's still connected to the place of eating, to the place of origin of where he ate, and therefore it's not considered to be a hefsek in his original eating. He's still connected to it, so a new bracha is not required. What are the food items that require the bracha achrona to be made b'mekayman? So that's a machlekes in the different rishonim. The Rashba says that it means where it's a birchas hamazon. The Rishonim learn that Taisus says it's the chamisha mine dogan, even if it's not birchas hamazon, but it's the chamisha mine dogan where you make an alamichya. And the Rashbam says, and the Rambam, they hold that no, even the shivas minim, even something where it's a zayin minim, so not only benching, but even alamichya, not only amichya, even ala eitz, ala gefen, etc. The bracha achrona has to be made in the place of where it was eaten. So, depending on what you hold, but something that requires the achila to be in the place of origin, there we say it's not considered to be a hefsek. Rosh Hashanah says echad zeh ve'echad zeh tzorach levarach. But Rosh Hashanah argues, and he said, even in the items that you have to make the bracha achrona in the place of origin, nevertheless, it's considered to be a hafsek, and you have to make a new bracha in the new place. You have to make a new bracha. Meisel asks you a kasha. Bnei Achabur Shayim Esum Lishtais says the Bnei before the Achabur they were eating, they were drinking together, they were mesubim, and they were drinking together. Va'akru ragleim, lots of the cross chasan and the cross kala, and they were aikr, they uprooted themselves. They went to outside. They went to greet a chasan kala. So they went outside of the house to greet a chasan kala. When they leave, they don't need a bracha achrona before they leave. And when they come back, they don't need a new bracha rishayna. So they don't need a new bracha. They don't need a bracha achrona rather before they leave, and when they come back, they don't need a new bracha rishayna. But however, it's qualified. When is that so? That's when they left somebody behind. They left somebody behind in that place. When they left somebody behind in that place, a zaken achayla, for instance, just an example. It's an example of a zaken achayla that's left behind, meaning so they're still connected to the original achila. They're still connected to the original achila. They left a zaken achayla. But if nobody is left behind, then kashem yaitzim tunim bracha l'mafreya, kashem chayzim tunim bracha l'chachila. But if they didn't leave anybody behind, then they do have to make the new brachas. So midiktanya akragleim, it says that akragleim, so they uprooted themselves. So mechlal the b'devaramatu and bracha lachreim b'mkayim askina. So that implies we're talking about the items that not a borei nefashos. We're talking about the items that require the bracha achrona to be made in the place of origin, and it's only the time hadini chasham zaken eichayla who. The Kishem Yaitsun Ain't Bracha Mafreya, O Kishem Chayzin Ain't Bracha Lachatchila. And it's only therefore because somebody is left behind and they're still connected to the original Achila, that's when they don't have to make other brachas. But if they didn't leave anybody behind, Kishem Yaitsun Tunim Bracha Mafreya and Kishem Chayzin Tunim Bracha Lachatchila. But otherwise, if nobody would be there, if there's no still remaining a connection, they would need other brachas. Kashal Rav Chisda. So it's a Kashal Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda says that even if nobody's left behind, the very fact that you have to make the bracha achrona in the place of origin, that connects you to the original achila, and you do not require new brachas. But we see over here that it's only because people are left behind that is the case. So it's a kasha. So we have a kasha. As a side point, there is a machlokes rishonim that when a person leaves the place, he goes to another place, and a new bracha is required. What new bracha is required? So many rishonim learn that means if a person is leaving his place and now it's considered to be a hafsek, he has to make a bracha achrona on what he ate, and when he goes to a new place, he has to make a bracha rishona. When he comes back to his original place, and then he has to make another bracha rishona. That's considered a hafsek. But Tosfos and Rosh learned that there's no requirement to make a bracha achrona on what he ate in the place that he departed from. And there's no chiyuv to make a bracha achrona per se in that place. If he goes to a new place, and then when he comes back, he doesn't have to make a bracha achrona before continuing eating. The reason we say and the brisa that he makes a bracha achrona is because we're afraid that he'll be go away for a long period of time, and it'll be past the time limit, or that he won't come back. So we say make a bracha achrona. However, they hold that if he did not make the bracha achrona before leaving, when he comes back, there's no new requirement. There's no requirement rather for a bracha achrona before he can continue eating. Before he can continue eating now and continue eating further. The bracha achrona is when he finishes eating, he makes a bracha achrona. He can make a bracha achrona on Ma'aseh Achila. So that's a machlokes when we say it's a hefsek, because we're talking about both the bracha rishona and the bracha achrona have to be made me'ikar din, or we're saying no, it's really the bracha rishona that's required that you have to make a new bracha for, but the bracha achrona is still connected to the place of origin for the bracha achrona. And therefore, if he did not make the bracha achrona upon departing, when he comes back, he does not have to make a bracha achrona before continuing eating. He makes a bracha achrona at the end of all of his complete Ma'aseh Achila. Al Kol Panim we have over here, we see that over here, that it's the only reason that they don't have to make a bracha achrona is because, or bracha rishona, is because they left over there some people in the Chabura, so they were still connected. But otherwise, we see that you would have to make a bracha. So it's a kasha Rav Chisda. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, he answers, Man Tana Akiris, who's the Tana in the Brisa that says Akiris that they uprooted themselves? Who's the Tana? It's Rav Yehuda. Who is Rav Yehuda? And therefore he argues with what we said previously. The Sanya, we learned in the Brisa, Chaverim Shayu Mesubin, if there were Chaverim that were Mesubin, reclining to eat together, and then they uprooted themselves to go to the shul, Beis Medrash, when they leave, they don't need a bracha achrona. And when they come back, they do not need a new bracha rishona, meaning since it's something that requires a bracha achrona b'mekayma, they're still connected to the place. So the Tanna Kama holds that you don't need to make brachas. It's not considered a hefsek. It's still connected to the place of origin. However, Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, when is that said? That's only bizman she'nil sham mixes chaverim. That's not just because they have to come back to make the bracha achrona. That's only if they left behind some of the people of the Chabura who are still there, so then they're still connected to the place of origin. But if they didn't leave any chaverim left in the Chabura, then they're not connected. Then we would say, there we say when they leave they need a bracha achrona, and when they come back they need a bracha lechatchila. So you see that this is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that Dvaram Hatunim Bracha Achrona b'Mekaymen is not sufficient. There has to be Chaverim, there have to be people who are still left behind to say that you're connected to the place of origin. Otherwise you do have to make brachas. But the Tanna Kama holds the very fact that you have to make the bracha achrona in the place of origin, that's enough to maintain the connection, and it's therefore not considered to be a hefsek, and you don't have to make other brachas. Rashman points out that, however, in Rav Yochanan, we asked the kasha on Rav Yochanan, who said that the shini mokum is not considered to be a hefsek, and we asked and we said tiyufta. We can't explain Rav Yochanan in this manner because Rav Yochanan said it's an unqualified statement. And Rav Yochanan said that a shinu malkam is not considered to be a hefsek. So L'chei Rav Yochanan is holding that whether it's Dvarim Hatun and Bracha Achrona b'Mekaymen or not, whether there's Chaverim that are in the place of origin or not, Rav Yochanan held that a shinu malkam is not considered to be a hefsek. And on that we see clearly from the Brisa that that's not so. That's why it's a Tiyuftan Rabbi Yochanan. But as far as other cases where you have to come back to the place of origin to make the bracha, or the people still remaining over there, so there we have this the possibilities that you do not have to make the bracha. We have the machlokes Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yehuda, meaning that the maskana is that if it's something that there are people not left behind in the Chabura, or if it's something that you don't have to make a bracha achrona b'Mekaymen, for instance, things that you make a brain of hashus on. So if it's things that you, fruit or meat, vegetables, things of that nature, if a person leaves the house, he has to make a new bracha. That comes the maskana is that it's a tiyufta of Yochanan, and therefore the maskana is for those type of items you certainly have to make a new bracha.